first time my son approached me this year and said, "Hey Dad, I've got some elderberry cuttings off of my bush. Do you want some?" And I said, "Well, what are elderberries?" And he began to explain, and then he said that, but the elderberries have to be cooked. Otherwise, they're a bit toxic to you. And I thought, I don't want any toxic berries or anything I have to cook so they're not toxified anymore. And then I went on the internet and I did my research and stayed up till 2 in the morning doing my research on the internet. Came back to Josh and said, "Hey Josh, I'd like to have some of those cuttings." And so I've planted them in my yard, and I've ordered already some elderberries. Okay. So I'm back home from a ride in the country looking for elderberry bushes. And let me show you why it's so much better to plant your elderberry bushes in your yard. This is one, it was just a stick, a bare stick when I stuck it in the ground. And this is a cutting that my son Joshua gave me off of one of his trees. And I'm just gonna have this one bush growing right here. And it's got flowers on it. And anyway, this is a whole lot easier than traipsing through the brush and the briars and running into poison ivy and chiggers and all those other kinds of things. Okay, unlike looking for elderberry bushes along the side of the road, here's another spot where I planted an elderberry bush. This is another one of Joshua's, it was just a stick. I don't know if you can even see that stick part, but yes, it was just a little stick. And I stuck it in the ground. And elderberries are pretty easy to grow. Just get a cutting and stick that cutting in the ground and leave it alone. And that's what happened. Okay, so I'm on the hunt for elderberry bushes. Right now they have white clusters of flowers. Not those flowers there, but these coming up ahead. And I will show you. I mean, when you see a bush loaded with these clusters of white flowers, you might want to check it out. But those are them right there. Let's see if I can, oh, loaded. Just look at that. Okay, just look at that. Okay, I see some white bushes up here. I'm gonna pull over and check them out. Okay, so there they are, definitely elderberry. Let's get a closer look. First of all, check for poison ivy. Ooh. Okay, so look at these clusters of berries. I mean flowers that are going to turn into berries. And oh, I see some poison ivy down there, so I got to be careful. Okay, so notice how the leaves are on these things. They come off, the limbs come off equal to each other, side by side. Then they form and they keep dividing like that until they form these little white flowers. These white flowers, clusters, are going to turn into berries later on in the summer. And that's what I'm looking for. Boy, there's a lot of elderberries in there, but you would have to climb through a mess of stuff. Briars, poison ivy, all kinds of stuff to get to them. So I'm looking for something that is going to be easier to harvest when the time comes. I see what I think are elderberries. We're gonna pull over and take a peek. Oh, definitely elderberries for sure. See if there's, probably if we look close enough, we'd probably find some poison ivy in this stuff. And of course, chiggers. Oh my goodness, I hate chiggers. But again, oh, and it drops down quite a ways here. But these are definitely elderberries. Look at the unique design. And the stem is smooth. Elderberries. And they're losing their flowers. And the flowers, you can harvest them. They're great for making medicinal products, making teas, etc. The challenge is that you need to wait until they get fully bloomed or blossomed out. And it's just been raining the last couple of days. Now's not a good time to collect them because it's the pollen that you're after on these flowers. And that pollen gets washed off. So you want to harvest these when it's not just had a rain. So I wanted to show you what is not elderberry. Looks very similar. I mean, it's got a cluster of flowers. Oh, look at this. Nice, beautiful cluster of flowers, but it doesn't have those the same structure as the elderberry plant. This is kind of a hairy plant. Don't know if I can make that show up like that. See how hairy that is? And the elderberry are smooth, and these grow in clusters as well. But that's the whole plant right there, whatever it is, and it's smaller. It doesn't grow as big and tall as the elderberry bush does. Interesting. Okay, so I found some more elderberries, and I came over and checked them out. Definitely elderberries, and just thought I would show you. Notice how the stalk is smooth. This stalk is smooth. It has no hairs on it. And notice how the leaves, the branches, they come off opposite of each other right there. There's a pair, and we go up, and if I can make it show it, there's a pair, and there's a pair. See, where are they? There they are. And then it starts branching out toward the top when you start to get to these, to the fruit itself. It continues to do that. It just keeps branching out, 2 by 2. And the thing about it is that I'm very impressed with what these berries can do. And so that's why I'm out looking now, scattering around the countryside for these white, obviously white bushes out there, and identify them, learn where they're at, and go back later and see if I can't get some of the ripe berries. How about that? But there they are, some elderberries. Yes. Interesting that you can go out and find these things. I've probably got more than a dozen places now in a short period of time where I know these elderberries are growing. I'm looking for these guys over here. Now this has got to be about 10 feet tall. About 10 feet tall. And quite a number of universities are doing research on these guys. And they like it when people can find things, berries, when these get so full and loaded that the berry bush, the berry part of it, kind of bends over and hangs toward the ground, because the birds can't get to that very easily. But if it stays upright, then the birds can get to it easy. So what you're looking for is you're looking for bushes that are very productive, have a lot of berries on them, hang down or droop down, and then of course the content, the quality of the berry itself, relative to producing the kind of things you need that fights the influenza virus, that gives you the kind of the protective qualities and medicinal qualities of the berries they are looking for. And so it's all very interesting stuff to me. Very interesting. Okay, so I'm back home from my ride in the country looking for elderberry bushes. Okay, here's some more cuttings that Joshua gave me. Just sticks. Stuck them in the ground. And they're starting to blossom a little bit. They got those buds and they're gonna turn into berries. Okay, so usually I don't run into stickery bushes and all those nasty things that you run into when you're out there in the wild trying to find elderberry bushes. However, look what I just discovered on the other side of our property, on the neighbor's fence line right here. Guess what this stuff is? Yes, poison ivy. Oh my goodness, I don't believe it. Poison ivy. And I got this little sprayer, pump sprayer, and it's 20% vinegar and 80% water. This may have just a little bit more vinegar than 20%. I'm gonna give it a shot. Oh my goodness, let them have it. Talking about all the briars you run into sometimes when you're out there trying to find these elderberry bushes and then collect those elderberries later on. Well, these are my thornless blackberries. So again, in my yard, we won't have any problem. And they're growing along the fence line here, and they're doing really, really well. Oh my goodness, doing so well. And the neighbors can have whatever's on the other side of the fence. And wow, they just go on and on and on. I planted these about 2 years ago, and they are growing well. So after my son Joshua introduced me to elderberries, not having any, I went online and ordered some elderberries. And from this, I have made elderberry syrup. So 1 cup of elderberries will make about 3 of these little containers of elderberry syrup. And that's what I use. And this is what it's all about for me. Interesting, huh? Well, there was a little chigger that wasn't any bigger than the end of a very small pin. But the bump that he raises itches like the blazes, and that's where the rub comes in. Yeah, no chiggers here. Huh.